So I'm going to attempt to show you how I can use Embrilliance in order to line up and make precise placement of my embroidery on my Bernina 770, which does not have pinpoint placement, and therefore you could really use this with any sewing machine that you wanted. And of course, if you have Embrilliance, and you do need, I believe, stitch artists to use the background image. I'm not entirely certain of that. No, I think any stitch artist will have it, so that's good. So basically I had this picture that you saw me resizing. I like to use these handles here because they resize it proportionately. Also, when we get closer here, you'll see that I have the plastic grid. Before I took this picture, I tried to hold my camera horizontally to the surface that my hoop was on, and I put the plastic grid in because there's a line on the outside of the grid that shows you your work area for your embroidery, which is represented by the inside of this yellow hoop here. So I'm just going to use these so that it's proportional, it doesn't twist it and warp it. I'm going to get it so that that yellow line sort of fits inside of there. That's pretty close. And then from there I can click over here to zoom in. And you can see that the embroidery hoop here on the screen, if I grab my image again, you'll see it better even, has the crosshairs. And so because I have that hoop in there, the easiest way to line this up is just going to be to grab this and put those on the crosshairs. Boom. The other thing you want to check to be sure, I know that I've already got it, but under Embrilliance, I'm using a Mac today. Under Preferences, you'll find that you have your Bernina large oval hoop. I already have that applied, so I just click OK, because that is the hoop I'm using here. And then we can click back out a little tiny bit. Just use the slider if you only want to go a little ways. What I'm noticing here though is that while my crosshairs are in the right place, I still feel like I might need to adjust the size. This one's really close, that's very good. You can see that the Bernina oval hoop is not quite an oval on the sides. There's a little bit of, yeah, right there. So when I do design in Embrilliance, I try not to get too close to my sides, but over here on the side, you can see there's a small discrepancy between here and here. So the size is not quite right. So I'm just gonna zoom out. I'll use this to go up to the corner so that I can see the handle and that faint purple line right there. Obviously, if I picked a light fabric, it would have been easier for you all, but this is quite real life, so there you go. And we're just gonna go here so I can check the bottom corners to see how I like those. And we'll scroll in a little bit. Yeah, see, I feel like it's still just a smidge away, so we're gonna get down to where we can see the handle. The top is just looking great. And we'll just scroll down. Maybe we'll use this again, I guess. So we'll scroll out. And we're just gonna open this up just a smidge. I can see that. So just do that. And then we're going to go back to the middle and we're going to scroll in so that I can readjust. I'm going to grab that green dot on my crosshairs. So you can see that's pretty good. Also, I took my image fairly square. I did a very good job at that, so I didn't really need to rotate. You can see I'm a hair off, and that's not something that's going to bother me. But you can rotate with your handles here. I think it's the top handle should have a blue dot. All right, we'll just use this again. So the blue dot right here means you can twist it, so I can twist it. I'm going to hit the undo and hope that it will undo it for me. Excellent, save me some time. So you can twist it if your picture was crooked. You do not need to take a perfect picture. You just adjust your picture within the hoop. I am really happy with this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually lock this so that I don't accidentally drag it around when I'm putting on some embroidery. Okay, so I'm going to add some letters here. I don't really want to say ABC. We'll just choose a name. It's Christmas fabric, so Noel. And I'll just put in something a little bit different just for fun. And we can resize it to be a little bit smaller. And we'll position it so it kind of goes. Now this is one thing that is really confusing to me in Embrilliance, I can go over to, when I click this, I cannot figure out how to move this to save my life. Even if I go into the regular mode, it wants to move them one at a time, which I don't want. Oh, there we go. Look at that. What did I do? Oh, no, that's my... I must have accidentally unlocked that, so let's lock that. Come back in here. Here we go. Okay, so now suddenly it's working. My arrow keys will move it. It usually does. And I can put it under there and say I want to sort of align it with the bottom of this angel scarecrow thing. Great. And then say I want to actually draw around, the basic shape of this this angel. I'll make it look a little bit like an applique maybe. And I can do that by, I had some glare on that and I wasn't too worried about it because, I was really concentrating on the idea of I thought it would be fun to try doing this on the Mac because I'm crazy, I guess. But yeah, so I'm just gonna do this. So it kind of will give it the, I'll close that. And I could go in here and adjust this a little bit if I really felt it was, worth the time. But for the most part, I think I guess it will give you a better idea once I do the stitch out if it's a little bit closer to what we would like. Here we go. There we go. And we'll bring this, whoops, what happened there? Okay. And right now, it's a line. Not sure what this is doing here. Oh, we seem to have, yeah, we seem to have gotten that. So that's a little bit better. Okay, so, get rid of that extra note as well. And we can say that we want this line to be, yeah, this line to be applique. We'll give it like a faux applique look. And of course, if you were doing this on something you really want to keep, you'd really want to, spend your time playing with these. I'll add a note here to get that a little closer. Then I can bump this one out. You can see you can really, really get precise with this if that's what you want to do. But again, for the purposes of an idea, here we go. Now I don't see my stitches. There they are, because I just turned them back on. And if I wanted to get rid of my picture altogether just to see what, I don't know why I'd want to do that, because, oh, now we have no stitches and no picture. Okay, and then we've still got the Noel going in there. That color is really hard to see. Let's give it a different color. Let's not worry about any of that. Yellow will be much easier to see. Kind of matches her feet and her hair. And it's quite lovely. And I think this is enough to kind of give us an idea. Of course, I could go in here and I could give her a name and outline her. But let's just see. Uh-oh. When I accidentally moved the picture earlier, I did not quite put it back. What I'll have to do if we want to see how well this is going to work out is I need to unlock this. And that will allow me to fix that size just a smidgen. Let's go back in and look at that. Okay. So I might need to make some adjustments in what I've already done because of this. When you have a project that you really want to have perfect and unique, it's really worthwhile. This is, it's a lot of fun to do. So let's go back up and just see. I shouldn't have to redo the outline, but I might need to resize. This time, let's lock it and keep it locked. Not sure how I managed to unlock it. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So let's see, design. Yeah, she's a little bit off now, and that would drive me crazy. Okay. This is kind of strange. There we go. Ah, there's my box. I'm not sure what's happening here with this, but we'll just resize it, and we'll save it now. And we should be ready to send it over to the machine. I have my USB in down on my Bernina, and I'm going to go into USB here. Oh, here it is, Noelle. There it is. And now we're going to stitch it on and see what happens. Okay, I have my my guards still on there. I have my design on there. That's where my little end is going to go, I guess, over there, which I'm not sure if I'm feeling is right. Yes, I forgot a very important thing. So I'm glad I checked this, because when I was like, it just doesn't feel right. It's telling me that, you know, it's going to stitch the end, which should be just past her foot on this side of her foot. And I'm like, yeah, no. Okay, so the reason why that is I did not put a box around the design. I should have put a basting box the full size of the hoop, and that would have kept that from happening. So let's go back and do that. Okay, so I had forgotten about putting the basting box around the hoop. Otherwise, when I put this design into my 770, it will want to move this design into the center of the hoop instead of over to the side. So that's a very key. So if she had been in the middle, we might not have caught it. It would have been a little bit off, and you'd be like, why is it a little off? Well, you need to put the centering hoop. A lot of machines don't. They just automatically are going to try to center your designs. What we're going to do now is just add a basting box. If I base just this, again, it'll just center this box. So no. We'll undo that. Try it again. Tilde, base design, based hoop. And look at this one. There it is. And it's an oval hoop. I've got a square basting box. I'm not sure how my machine is gonna like that. I'm wondering if it's gonna make the whole design smaller so that this corner and this corner will fit inside this hoop. You can see there that it's showing the basting box around that. So you can see here that it changed it to another hole. Okay, so there's the whole thing. It's in red because I still have that huge basting box on there, which it will not let me. But I did realize I can select the oval hoop here. It then tells me that the whole design doesn't fit, which means that I've got to be very careful not to sew that bit of the design. But then in order to check if the design is indeed in the right place, which it is, because the center of the hoop for the two hoop options does remain the same. So I'm just saying, okay, yeah, sure, fine. And then we can go to this option here, which will be our needle placement. And I can pick like the very corner of this, oh, that's the N. That's the very corner of the skirt. Let's see if I can get that so you can see it. Yep. And you can go down here and you can see that indeed, especially if I drop that it does drop right at the corner of the skirt. Stitch, an exact stitch you want to check. So I'm right on that outside bump of the head. Come down here, drop it, and I noticed I'm a little bit in the red. See that? But when I came back over to my screen, you can see that I actually placed it a little bit into the red there. I didn't get real close for this example. So this works. I checked several points before I showed you this, but I'm still going to go back and show you how to do the basting box in case your machine won't allow you to select a hoop unless your design fits. I think a lot of machines are like that. Okay, so you can see that I was concerned about this basting box not working out. It does work out because I can ignore it and still re-choose the right size hoop, but for those of you who are unable to, I would suggest resizing this within your hoop or making your own basting hoop. So resizing it might look something like this, bringing each corner to just touching. Actually, we don't need to use the handles because we don't care about the proportion in this. and then using this handle to push this up inside that. And you've got to get really close to that, and it should tell you, I'm hoping, whether or not you're inside or outside of your hoop. We can actually turn your design to be transparent. And that's just nice because it doesn't matter that this basting hoop is over this because we're not going to actually baste it. We're just using it as a placeholder within the hoop. If this is touching here and here and here and here, it cannot move. It is centered as is. This is centered. And to make sure that that's centered, click that basting design and center the design in the hoop, and that should do it. This design is now centered in the hoop. And I just wonder if it's touching a little too much or not enough. But we can save that. Another option would be, let's turn this one. Okay, so we'll click that design, and we're just going to lock and ghost that. So when we click over here, that will disappear. It's still there. I could turn it back on and use it, but I don't need it. And so if you have stitch artists here, we just go in. We can click a few points and just pick the extremities here, you know. Again, we're not going to actually stitch this out. You could, I suppose, if you wanted, make sure that it does not touch your design. I guess would actually work fairly well. We'll close that, and this one looks like I could actually, let's do this. We can really see if we get in there. We don't want it to move it, you know, even 1/8 of an inch. We want it to be really, really snugly fit in there, and that will keep the machine from thinking it's smarter than us and moving that for us. And we can go check the top ones if we want by clicking here and dragging this point out to here. And we'll go back in and we'll check this extremity. And you can see that it could have possibly moved it. It would have been centering it, so they were all off by about the same amount. We will save again. And this actually put it in the same as the design. Stitch that out and hold it in place for you so that they end up in the right place on the fabric when it's done stitching. So let's give this a try. Just so that nobody's confused and following me, I realized when I got to my machine that this little eye shape was not showing up. And so if you want that eye shape to show up, you will need to assign a stitch to it. Otherwise, it's just a line that shows up in the program. It now has a running stitch. It's now the same color as the other one, so I will want to change that color because I don't want to actually stitch it out. So I'm going to assign it a new color. Doesn't matter what it is. There we go. And save.
All right, all stitched out. Here it is. It looks great. And you can see that you can use that to line up any, you know, lettering. I could use it to line up digitized embroidery design on a pocket. I'll do another video that's a little shorter that shows that. Also, I'll try to use some other software. But yeah, overall, I'm pretty excited about this. Using your software to line things up.